Hi, I'm Kevin Rutherford. Welcome to RG's Talent Tips. Today I'm going to show you how to improve your emotional intelligence. In a world where change is happening rapidly, the most in-demand skills are increasingly technical in nature. However, there's a corresponding need for the uniquely human ability to work with and through others to accomplish important goals. Doesn't matter if you're an individual contributor, a manager, or a CEO. That ability is emotional intelligence, or EQ. Emotional intelligence is the ability to identify, use, understand, and manage our own emotions as well as the emotions of others in an effective and positive way. 8 out of 10 employees and 7 out of 10 employers say that they value emotional intelligence, EQ, over IQ. So IQ, or intelligence quotient, is a measure of a person's reasoning ability. It gauges how well someone can use information and logic to answer questions or make predictions. The most effective leaders have a strong balance of IQ and EQ. Now, while it's natural that some people will be more adept at certain aspects, the beauty is emotional intelligence can be learned, developed, and enhanced over time. So let's dig a little deeper into exactly what emotional intelligence entails and how you can improve on this essential ingredient of leadership. Let's go to the whiteboard. So let me pull this over for you real quick. And what we see here is that there's 4 domains of emotional intelligence. The first of which is what I call self-awareness. Okay, self-awareness is the ability to identify and understand your own emotions and the impact that we have on others. It is the cornerstone of emotional intelligence, and the other domains of emotional intelligence depend on this self-awareness. So if you're aware of your own emotions and the behaviors they trigger, you can begin to manage these emotions and behaviors. Because our emotions impact our mood, our behaviors, our performance, and interactions with other people. The question is whether you're aware of these emotions and the impact that they have on your behavior as well as other people. Those who are self-aware tend to be more confident and more creative. They also make better decisions, they build stronger relationships, and communicate more effectively. Second thing we look at is what we call self-regulation. Self-regulation. Self-awareness really leads to that second domain, which is self-regulation. And that is the ability to manage these emotions and behaviors. Because once we're aware of our emotions, we can begin to manage them and then keep the disruptive emotions and impulses under control. People with strong self-regulation can pause and take a deep breath in a tense and stressful situation, which really helps them remain calm and think before they speak or act. These people tend toward a positive outlook and are adaptable to a variety of situations and circumstances. Third is what we call social awareness. Now, this is really our ability to understand the emotions of others, and a key element of this is what we call empathy. Empathy has 3 components. The first is identifying what others feel. Second then is sharing this emotion. And then lastly is wishing to improve their experience. Because it's not about how you would feel in their situation, but rather how they actually feel. And lastly, we look at what we call social skills. Social skills is really what separates great managers from good ones. Social skills include things like influence, conflict management, teamwork, and the ability to inspire others. People with strong social skills can make an enormous difference on a team and in organizations because they understand others and then they act on this to really move people more towards a common goal. So really, to recap here, if you want to improve your emotional intelligence, you need to first start with self-awareness, right? Start with self-awareness, because without an objective sense of who you are and what drives you, it's nearly impossible to be emotionally intelligent. Unfortunately, there's quite a bit of evidence that suggests that most of us really aren't very self-aware. What's worse is that the research also shows that managers and CEOs may be the least self-aware of all. So, what can you do about it? Here are 3 tips that you can apply right away to improve your emotional intelligence. Okay, so the first one, let me come over here real quick. Right? The first one is listen and observe. Listen and observe with the intent of learning. Too often we hear it being said rather than listening intently. In most conversations, people spend their day listening for the pause or actually waiting for their turn to tell people what they think. But there is another level of listening that we should really strive to achieve, and that's called empathetic listening. This is the deepest and most powerful form of active listening. When we're listening to what someone says, how they mean it, and how they feel about it. When it's a person's turn to respond, we confirm our understanding of what was said and how we feel about what was said. Empathetic listening is what we call the glue that allows us to manifest the language of EQ in the day in and day out manner that builds trust and relationship. Second thing we want to do here is ask for feedback. Ask for feedback. Because receiving constructive and honest feedback is the key to becoming self-aware. One of my favorite tools to help leaders become more self-aware is a 360 multi-rater emotional intelligence assessment. If an EQ assessment is out of the question for you, you can always audit your self-perception by actually asking managers, colleagues, friends, or family how they would rate your emotional intelligence. For example, ask them how you respond to difficult situations, how adaptable or empathetic you are, and or really how well you handle conflict. It might not always be what you want to hear, but it should make you ask yourself 3 questions. First, what can I learn from the feedback? Take just a few minutes to write out what you learned in a list or a few short paragraphs. Second, how did the feedback make me feel and why? If feedback that you received hurts, that normally means it's true. This may be your greatest area for potential improvement. But the key is, don't shy away from the hurt. More importantly, what's the next step? Make your actions concrete. Write a list of tasks that you need to do to fix the situation to prevent it from occurring. Number 3, of course, you know me, I like to read, so I like to say read, and this is fiction books, right? Fiction books. These aren't the ones that you get to really learn, the nonfiction books for learning. These are the ones that are about like novels, because there's been a growing body of research that has found that people who read fiction tend to better understand and share the feelings of others, even those who are different from themselves. Now think about that. Reading novels really has the capacity to transport you into another character's mind, allowing you to see and feel what they do. This can really expose us to life circumstances that are very different from our own. Through fiction, we can experience the world as another gender, ethnicity, culture, sexuality, profession, or age. Words on a page can introduce us to what it's like to lose a child, be swept up in war, be born into poverty, or leave home and have to immigrate into a new country. And taken together, this can influence how we relate to others in the real world. It should be clear that EQ skills are really something that everyone needs to work on. Developing emotional intelligence is an ongoing process. And quite frankly, the journey is going to differ from person to person. But the fact remains that the world's best leaders harness the power of cultural and emotional intelligence to encourage inclusive, equitable, and profitable environments. By taking time to reflect and examine why we decide to do what we do, allows us to lead lives determined by our conscious intentions rather than circumstances alone. So, are you ready to apply what you learned and elevate your people genius? I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something that you can apply right away. If you did and want more, please subscribe to our channel below and check out our website for even more content, handouts, and free tools that'll take you from where you are to where you want to be. Until next time.